This episode of SpectreSoundStudios is brought to you by DistroKid. Get your music online to over 150 different sources. Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to SMG Viewers Comments, episode 64. We are at Spitfire Studio in Hollywood, California with the one and only Warren Huart. Warren's worked with Ace Frehley and Aerosmith and some other really cool stuff, and he is the host of the YouTube channel Produce Like a Pro. Really cool stuff. You guys should definitely check it out. Warren, I met at Summer NAMM in Nashville. Really cool guy. Got a lot of the similar taste in music and whatnot. How are you, Warren?
I'm good, mate. How the devil are you?
Not too bad, not too bad.
Nice.
I'm in town for AES this weekend, and we've been hanging out here.
It's kind of fun, this one, isn't it?
Yeah.
AES.
Oh yeah, there's some really great stuff in there.
There's some good stuff, but I also like the fact it's just like a really good community of people around.
And you don't, like I said, you don't have like 10,000 guys learning how to count to 4 in the drum room. It's awesome. You can actually have a conversation here and not blow your voice out like at NAMM. So that's pretty cool. Or you don't have, like 10,000 guys, showing off how awesome they are on guitar. Give me a deal, give me a deal.
I wanted to be one of those guys. I mean, I was looking for the booth where I could shred and do my note tapping, but I couldn't find it.
That's awesome. But yeah, we also got Brandon and Trey over here, but we're just having a really cool night. We had dinner down on the Sunset Strip. What was the name of the place?
Greenblatt's.
And that place has been there since the 20s, right?
It has, which for Hollywood is really old.
Yeah, that's
for the rest of the world, it's yesterday. But for
unless you're in Canada.
There's some old stuff in Canada.
Not that old.
Not as old as that? Oh, well.
Yeah. It's pretty rare you see anything pre-1900, that's for sure.
Oh, wow.
Okay. But honestly, Greenblatt's, if you're in Hollywood, check it out. It's awesome. It's a deli they make.
And it's next door to the Laugh Factory. And after all the shows and stuff, like I was telling you, I've been in there 3 or 4 times where Richard Lewis is just sitting there.
Wow.
Having something.
Just magnificent food. The pastrami sandwiches are just awesome. Anyway, so let's get right to it. Warren's going to answer a few of the questions, just to make things interesting. Okay, so.
All right, this will be fun.
What's a good amp for different genres like death metal, 80s rock, etc.?
Go.
Death metal and 80s rock, etc.?
Yes.
That's a tough one. I think what's interesting, and you'll know this, is that most of the guys in the early 80s that were making records were using 70s marshes, not 80s marshes. So when you buy yourself a JCM 800 that was made in 81, Van Halen was actually using JMPs. He was using older super leads, as we call them in England. We call them JMPs over here.
Okay.
So I don't know if there is such a thing. That's probably more of you. For me, I would say death metal is definitely modern, and 80s is definitely 70s amps.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd take it a 5150.
I do like
except it doesn't do cleans very well.
Which should probably make sense because a 5150 is probably Eddie's ears emulating JMPs and stuff because that's what he made.
Yeah, the 5150 is a pretty good all-around amp. It can do rock sounds. I know.
Which iteration? The PV one?
Yeah, the original 5150. Because I mean, like even Nugent was playing 5150s.
He was?
Yes. So you've got everything from like In Flames to Ted Nugent playing them. So they're pretty good all-around amp. Check them out on the used market. They're about $600. And I see Trey waving to me. What's
Trey from Gear Gods is saying something.
Stop cupping the mic.
Come here.
So there's a lot of death metal bands that use Marshalls, like Hate Eternal. He's using a lot of older Marshalls. Especially if you just stick an HM2 in front of it, boom, death metal, and you can also use it for 80s rock.
Yeah.
There you go. So there's another. That's a good answer.
That is a good answer.
Yeah, HM2.
Yeah, I'm gonna do an episode on tracking down an HM2 because I want to do something on that.
I used to have them when they were new. I mean, I read somewhere.
Right. Shit, man.
Yeah,
when I was your age,
I inherited my grandfather's HM2. I have this pedal called an Aria, Aria guitars, called an Ultra Metal.
Nice.
And it's possibly the worst pedal you could ever use for metal because it has no real bottom end, but the EQ can just make it sound like a bee. And it actually has absolutely no purpose at all except for when you've got that mix, so the guitars are so heavy, the drums are so massive, and you want to put that last guitar line comes in, and you can just make this wee screaming little thin tone, and it just sits beautifully. And it's made of plastic. It's like a plastic
I remember those
pedal.
pedals, yeah.
You do?
The Arions?
No, Aria.
Okay.
But,
the Arion pedals were really bad too, yeah.
Probably the same.
I remember my first distortion pedal was a Next pedal. You could change like the degrees of phase and shit. It was really weird. And
that sounds kind of cool.
It was kind of cool, and I sold it, and I'm kind of kicking myself because it was a really weird fucking pedal. It sounded really good.
My first one was a Colesborough. Remember Colesborough amps?
No.
They were like awful. Sorry, Carlsborough, if you're still going. And he had this pedal that was called a Suzz. Like fuzz and sustain, S-U-Z-Z-Z-Z.
Sounds like a winner.
Suzz. Oh yeah, it was awful. And all I wanted was a DS1, you know, 'cause that was like the pedal everybody had. Or the OD1.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yep.
And then the HM came out, the heavy metal. I remember when that was new, we'd go to the music store.
This is Anderton's, wouldn't it? Would it have been?
Anderton's.
That would have been Anderton's. Hey guys, hi Lee. Hi
Lee.
Travers.
How you doing?
Hey guys, sorry for the interruption. Just got to take a quick second to talk about the show's sponsor, DistroKid. It is a service to get your music online to multiple music sources like Google Play and Spotify and iTunes, plus over 150 other smaller sources. Not only that, they will get you licenses for cover songs. I use that personally myself to do the Beck Moon on the Water cover. It really took a lot of the headache out of dealing with licenses. I really got to give them a huge thumbs up for that. I know you guys are digging DistroKid because I've signed up over 167 bands through my affiliate link, distrokid.com/VIP Spectre. The link's in the description below. It only costs $20 a year, and you get to keep 100% of your earnings. If you're playing in an independent band and you want to get yourself out there, this is definitely the way to do it. I use it myself. I can't say enough good things about it. Okay, back to Warren.
People that can. People that can't become sound engineers.
I'm not sure what that means. I made a lot of records as a guitar player, and here's a good answer to that. I have made records with, look, we just talked about it. I made the last 2 Ace Frehley albums, and in this room recorded Fire and Water with Paul Stanley singing. We also did a cover of Emerald by Thin Lizzy, which is one of the great bands and one of the great songs. And Ace was sitting there and Slash was sitting there, and they were playing and dueling guitar solos. And it was fantastic, and we recorded it. And then Ace went and played some shows, and he called me up and he's like, "Hey, Warren, that fucking, harmony part." I was like, "Yeah." He goes, you can do it. I can't figure it out." He just was too busy. He was off on the road. So it's like, I think it was at Christmas. I think I did it early January, and I got to play the harmony guitar parts for Emerald, the Thin Lizzy song, with Slash and Ace Frehley. And I'm a sound engineer, so I think I can. There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
I can. We can.
Yeah, there we can. And there we go. And that's the thing, guys. I mean, like, just because you're at home, just because you're working out of your bedroom and whatnot, doesn't necessarily mean you won't. Keep doing what you do. You never know where it's going to lead. The trick is, though, you got to do stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, did you sit with a pair of headphones on at 11 years old and be like, "Gee, I really want to be a producer, an engineer, or maybe, how about a mastering engineer?" You don't, you just want to be in music. Yeah. We love music, and I wanted to be Brian May, then I discovered Jeff Beck and blah, 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 the rest is history.
I think my first headphone experience was about 8 years old listening to Jumpin' Jack Flash. And then, just watching, I'm just like, wow, this is amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So to me, it's all part of the same thing. You can be a guitar player, turn engineer, turn producer, turn mixer, turn songwriter, turn tambourine player, whatever it is. Music is music, and we do it because we love it. And there's no strand. If you've got the passion and the drive for this, there's 57 different directions you can go in, and not one is more superior than the other.
And people who really can't do anything, comment on YouTube videos instead and complain.
Trey from Gear Guides. Everybody, give him a round of applause. By the way, check out Trey's playing guitar underwater video. Most excellent.
How did you come to work with Ace Frehley, and what was it like producing him as a guitar player?
That was freaking amazing. But
how did you get hooked up with Ace?
Well, it came from Matt Starr initially.
How do you know Matt?
Matt Starr. Matt was down.
Matt Starr. What do you mean, like Steel Panther Matt Starr?
No, Matt Starr plays with Mr. Big and played with Ace Frehley. And it was the most random thing. But I will say, to get in that situation, you sort of need multiple things. So what happened is Ace was looking around. I think he called Bob Ezrin, had done like so many Kiss records.
Oh, Bob Ezrin's one of my heroes, man.
Yeah, he's amazing. The Wall's one of my favorite top 10 albums of all time in history. It's one of the greatest albums. And but he'd done like Alice Cooper, and he'd done Kiss, he'd done all this kind of stuff. But Bob's like, he's more of an Ivory Towers kind of stuff, so we didn't know some local guy that could do something, whatever. So he called Jack Douglas, and Jack Douglas was like, Warren. Warren did the Aerosmith album, and he mixed half of the Aerosmith album. He'd be perfect for you. So Jack Douglas tells Ace that, so he hears that, and then he's in, I come on a rehearsal studio down, and he's rehearsing, and he called Matt, who was rehearsing with Mr. Big, I believe, and Matt's like, says to my business partner, hey, know anybody that can mix Ace Frehley? He's like, yeah, Warren. And Ace is like, wait there, who's this fucking guy, Warren? I just heard his name before, give me his number. And so it's like one of those things. I think the moral of the story is, as you build a career, and you do a lot of schnizzle, and you're working with lots of people, and you get your name out there, it's when it starts hitting from multiple directions. I think if he had heard because I think he probably heard 5 different mixers that could have mixed his record, and he was confused. How do I choose from these 5 different guys? And then he asked another 5 different guys, and 5 more names come up, except, I heard Warren's name from 2 different people I respect. So, I have to be thankful to those 2 guys. Sure. But at the same time, I think it's a good analogy, because I read a lot of people like I got lucky. I got lucky by working for 25 years and having a lot of people like my work. And I think that's true of all of us. I think we just have to get out there and do it. And your name comes up, people tell me your videos are great. I start watching your videos. These guys that work for me love your videos. I'm at Summer NAMM, and I go, hey, it's Glenn Frigga. You're like, who?
I'm like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like, no, that's great, man. I'm so glad I met you, though. It's cool. It's like,
but that's the way it works. It's about being out there, doing it, rolling up your sleeves, doing a lot of work. Because not one of those was enough. It was coming from the different angles.
That's fucking fantastic stuff right there. So it's like, it's definitely, word of mouth is definitely going to help you big time, especially when you have more than one person talking about it.
Yeah, it's a lot of hustle. You really have to.
Absolutely. And again, it all comes down to do stuff. Don't just talk about it. Get out there and do it. Make it happen.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I interviewed Mick Gordon, who you should know. And Mick does Doom and all of those shows, and he's a great, great player. And he puts videos up all the time. He does so much game stuff. And he's like at home writing game music, shredding. Just playing like really amazing stuff. But he's just doing it. So it's not even so necessarily getting out. It's just doing it. If you want to be an instrumental guitar player and write great tracks, be an instrumental guitar player and write great tracks.
Exactly. Absolutely. You want to do YouTube? Make videos. Make a lot of them.
Yeah. And do it consistently.
Yeah, that's the real trick. Doing it consistently.
2 to 3 a week.
Yep.
For at least a year.
Oh,
just
yeah.
To get your name out there.
Hey Glenn, loving the video so far. I have a question that has probably been asked and answered before, but I'm too much of a bassist to Google the answer.
What a shock.
Anyway, my question is, what is the band you've most enjoyed tracking so far? And is there any current band that you'd really like to do tracking mixing for, and why?
Okay. I've got too many cool bands I've worked with to pick a favorite, but the one band I would love to do something with at one point would be Judas Priest. But I'm going to hand the question over to Warren just to hear what he'd like to do and what his favorite was.
Judas Priest that's a good answer. The problem is like the only way that answer worked for me would be alive or dead. You know what I mean? It's a tough one. It's like there's a lot of good current bands that do the genre we all love. As you know, you and I talk because we both bond over that sort of late 70s, early 80s kind of golden era of music. It's not just rock bands, it's all bands of that period.
Oh yeah, there was amazing stuff coming out.
Yeah, it was like These Machines, the A80s, the technology came together. There was also, I think, most importantly for me, there was still a very strong songwriting sensibility.
Yes.
So the songs, nobody was worried about, like now, rock bands are a little bit, one of the biggest problems, and pop bands, they're all just like, they start getting too pigeonholed in the genre. But the bands that I love, even if you look at you listen to like, British Steel at that point, The Game Queen, Jazz Queen, some of those bands, some of those albums, they have some really heavy stuff in, they have some medium stuff. They just didn't mind pushing the envelope. They just made great sounding records. I love Heaven and Hell, actually. I'm a Sabbath fan.
Fucking great record. I love that record.
Sabbath fan, love Ozzy. My dog's called Ozzy, for goodness sake. I love Ozzy. Black Sabbath album 1, top 5 albums of all time. But my second favorite Black Sabbath album, Don't Kill Me, is Heaven and Hell.
That's funny you mentioned that. Actually, one of the very first heavy metal albums I ever got, actually my very first girlfriend in 8th grade gave me a copy of Black Sabbath Mob Rules, which I still have to this day. Nice. That's a great fucking record.
Did you go and see the Heaven and Hell tour?
No, I didn't. Oh. Yeah. I have seen Dio play live though. I saw him back in '85 when he's still with Vivian Campbell. So that was great, you know. So it's like, okay, I got to see Dio like at his prime, and that was awesome.
So for me, it's a tough one because I like the band. It's like I love a lot of bands. I love a lot of modern bands, but I like the bands in that period that they weren't afraid to push the envelope. And that's a little bit more because I think making any record now, this is not about just rock, but any record, it's so genre specific. Like a lot of rock records, let's be honest, the same drum sound, every freaking song, every song from start to finish, same guitar sound, same everything. You know, and that's not what I grew up listening to. Listen to a Zeppelin album. Yeah, I'd love to make a Zeppelin. I'd love to make a band like that, and I'm not talking like Rival Sons, as great as they are. They make a sound of Zeppelin of a certain period. I want to be like Fall in the Rain kind of period. We're experimenting with synths, we're doing some heavy rock, we're doing some acoustic stuff. Those are the kind of things that I love. Stuff that really pushes the boundaries. You know, and maybe it's a case of taking a modern band and pushing them in that kind of direction. But it's tough for me because I want it all. I want great songs. I want every song to have a different element of production that makes it unique. You know, that's why we do this. You know, not to take anything away from a Sabbath album, you know, but then, God, Heaven and Hell, what a great record. Neon Nights.
Oh, we covered that actually with Brandon singing.
Nice. We were listening to it last night. We were just sitting here listening to it.
I played bass in a Dio cover band.
You did?
Yeah, for like 6 months, and we played 2 shows. We were fucking awesome. We were called Lock Up the Wolves.
Okay.
Nice.
We ruled, but it fell apart so fast. It's too bad.
It's such a golden period, that late 70s, early 80s.
Oh, sure. Yeah. There's just so much
AC/DC
great
at that
stuff.
time with Bon
Yep.
Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Highway to Hell, what a record. It's just great stuff. And that wasn't actually as diverse in a way, but there was so much emotion in that, and it wasn't... Like, you go back to now, I was... Bob Mallett's a good friend of mine, and we were just talking about the new Airborne record that we made. You know, the Australian band, you know Airborne? Yeah. They're great. Okay. They're a sort of AC/DC-ish. So he did that album down in Australia, and they were using Highway to Hell and Back in Black as references, because that's what they wanted. But they said the problem is that the guitars are like, ga-na-na, ga-na-ga, da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. But nobody does guitars like that anymore. They go, you know, like they're so massive that there's no drum sound anymore.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing, you know, it's like, here's a great thing we were talking about. I got to be a judge for the Canadian Vaughan Battle of the Bands.
Nice.
Okay, and we've got to pick the Canadian champion. They go off to play Vaughan, you know, in the main Vaughan Battle of the Bands, which is really cool. And I was talking with a lot of the other judges, and you know, that's one thing we're all looking for is dynamics. We're looking for being able, a band that could pull it back, not just heavy all the time, because then it's boring. Yeah. Pull it back a little bit. Where's the band that dials it back and can play soft bit? Where's the band that understands, you know, to really punch someone in the nuts, you got to pull it back every now and then hit. Because when you hit harder again, it hits that much harder. You know? Yeah. So when you're talking about the big guitars and whatnot, that's great. Just dial it back a wee bit. You know what I mean? Yeah. It can make everything sound big that way.
And also I like,
because you're trying to jam a lot of sound into just 2 channels.
Yeah, I agree entirely.
Be very careful with that.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, I'm sure, look, you do more videos on this subject, what I'm about to mention now, than anybody on the planet, is the drummer comes to you and says, I want John Bonham sound here with these 2 acoustic guitars. And the guitar player comes with Black Album and says, I want that guitar sound. Yeah. You know, and then the singer comes in with like Robert Plant, like singing over an acoustic guitar and wants the vocal ambience of that. And you're like, okay, so who's going to suffer here? You want the big, massive open drums? You want the, you know, here's the audio spectrum full of guitar with the kick and snare down the middle. It's like, you know. I
remember 20 years ago, I was playing in a band, we were going to make a record, and the drummer, he said, well, I want my drums to sound like that. And it was like the end of Pantera Domination, where they got that reverse reverb thing going, boom, whoop, you know, and I want that on the whole record. And I'm like, yeah, there won't be any guitars there, you know. It's like, fuck, drummers.
Well, us guitar players, you know, what do they say? How do you know when a guitar player's knocking on the door?
Well, that's the drummer, actually.
No, but how do you know when a guitar player's knocking on the door?
It usually keeps speeding up and slowing down, right?
No, that's the drummer. Yeah.
Okay, well, how's it?
It's the loudest freaking knock.
Oh. Oh, no, that's good. It's the loudest freaking knock. That's awesome. I love
How do you know when the singer's knocking on the door?
How?
Can't find the key and doesn't know when to come in.
Yeah, I knew that. Here's a good one. What do you do for a drowning bass player?
Throw him his bass?
Now throw him in an anvil.
Oh! Okay.
I'd like to say thank you so much, Warren,
Thank
for
you
being
very
part of
much.
this. That's Warren Huart from Produce Like a Pro, and you can check out his channel on YouTube. It's definitely very cool. It's worth checking out. Warren does a lot of cool interviews. He's checking out all kinds of cool gear, and he runs an excellent tutorial system called Produce Like a Pro. Check him out. Take care. I'm out of here. Everybody have a wonderful weekend.